A woman prayed to God to give her twins, and after 10 years, her dream came true. However, she was in denial after finding out about her daughter's condition and the challenges she would face. Still, despite the odds, the twins celebrated their 7th birthday and showed their unique beauty in photos. Judith Nwokocha was a woman who desperately tried getting pregnant for 10 years and prayed God would help her realize her dream. In 2019, the hopeful parent said she'd always known she'd experience some delays when becoming a parent. Judith remained fearful despite how positive she tried to be, and when she married, her wish to have children took days, weeks, months, and years. She became desperate and quite anxious about fulfilling her dream. As a Christian, she leaned on her faith and God with no other avenue to turn to. She joined a women's fellowship where they prayed and trusted God to make miracles happen one day, and Judith asked for a twin boy and girl named Kamzi and Kachi. The woman and her husband went in for their second round of in vitro fertilization, IVF, 8 years after the first failed. All previous fertility treatments and procedures had resulted in nothing, and they were thrilled when their second try was successful. Judith knew her twins were growing inside her, and when their first ultrasound showed one fetus, she quickly told the doctor she was wrong. She was sure she was carrying twins after having manifested it through her faith for years. The second ultrasound proved her right, but each one after that yielded adverse reports like her daughter being at risk of bleeding and dying. The hopeful parent continued praying and trusting God, but was anxious throughout her pregnancy. She constantly spoke to her growing children and prayed for their well-being while her daughter was behind in growth, according to ultrasounds, while her brother was doing well. At 37 weeks, Judith discovered that her daughter had completely stopped growing, and birth had to be induced so she could survive. Kamzi arrived first via cesarean section at 9:44 p.m. His sister came too small and weak to cry a minute later. Kachi eventually cried, but weighed only 3.5 pounds. Compared to her brother, who was 6.1 pounds. Judith's children arrived after 10 years of trying and their mother being told they would have Down syndrome and trisomy 8. Despite the joy she had in finally becoming a mother, she struggled with something else specific about the children. Why was Judith in denial after welcoming her babies? When Judith first saw Kachi, she contemplated whether she'd been handed the wrong baby and even waited a few minutes to see if there was a mix-up. Instead, the nurse gushed over how beautiful the baby girl was. The new mother was stunned by how white the little girl was, but seeing her children healthy suppressed all her other feelings. She chalked down Kachi's appearance to her having a very fair complexion. And the thought that the child might have albinism never crossed her mind. No one known to her and her family had the condition, and Kachi was taken to be looked after in ICU. The little girl also had to stay longer at the hospital to gain weight before joining her brother at home. While in the hospital for 3 days, Judith's doctor finally told her Kachi had albinism. At that point, the new mother was almost sure about the child's condition since she'd noticed her mother worrying about it, which got her worked up too. She loved her daughter like any mother who loved their child. But Kachi's condition unsettled her. Sadly, the constant worrying about the child's looks got to her to the point where she turned back to her faith with her saying. Gradually, worry turned to sadness, and I started questioning God, wondering why he would put me in such a situation. Kamzi's mother worried about her daughter's future, how she'd be accepted, how society would treat her, and more. The parent envied other black babies and questioned why she had to have a child with albinism and how she got different colored twins. Judith revealed that her husband was also in denial, but they had to accept the truth and go to counseling. However, the feeling would only disappear once their children celebrated their first birthday and Kachi's mother started seeing her differently. The mother of two saw the beauty in the child's condition and started admiring her brown eyes, gold hair, pink lips, and everything else. The little girl also attracted people's attention, and they admired her often whenever their mother took them out. Judith took her daughter to the Canadian National Institute for the Blind when she was 3 months old and was told her daughter would be visually impaired because people with albinism are legally blind. The representative told her how people with albinism face challenges with their eyesight. The new mother was presented with Braille, a way for Kachi to read at school when she got older, but Judith couldn't imagine her child reading with it. Instead, she turned to her faith again, chose not to believe what she was told, and threw the Braille in the trash after the representative left. Someone else described Kachi as a beautiful princess. and her brother Kamsi as a handsome prince. The new parents stopped any more visits from the institution and discontinued any more visits. Years later, the twins looked gorgeous, and people praised them while their mother continued showering them with love. On March 4th, 2023, Judith shared one of the most recent Instagram pictures of Kamsi and Kachi. The children looked beautiful, with the brother having dark skin and his sister light, and their mother thanked God for showing up for the job for 7 years of their lives. The parent praised God for his mercy, goodness, and compassion for the children she'd prayed for. She admitted it had been a long journey, but she'd chosen to continue fighting before wishing the pair a happy birthday. Someone commented on the post describing the image as amazing, while another thought the pair was stunning. The person also noted how the twins were beautiful and handsome. In a second post on their birthday, the children appeared in different clothes, and this time, Kachi faced their camera in all her glory. A follower of Judith's post congratulated the mother and wished the beautiful twins well on their birthday and wrote, "Someone else described Kachi as a beautiful princess and her brother as a handsome prince before sending their parents blessings." When the little girl was 3, her mother confessed that her personality amazed her. Judith said she spent most of her time staring at the little girl, knowing how long it had taken for her to be born. The parent mulled over the challenges Kachi went through and overcame to have a strong personality and be someone who knew what she wanted and got it. The mother of twins always told her daughter how beautiful she was and wouldn't trade her condition for millions because she was perfect. Living with albinism had challenges, but was taught to remain strong and conquer them. Judith showed the beauty in people with the condition by taking photos of Kachi and Kamsi. However, she wasn't sure her daughter grasped how unique the moment was, but she eventually would because her mother would teach her to love herself regardless.